NPCs. I couldn't see them for looking. I haven't got anything. SWADE Player's Guide. Why is it not showing any NPCs? Oh, because I've only got the player guide loaded, idiot. when I last loaded this up, the GM's guide and the player's guide were the same. Oh yeah, on a slight aside, I'm not sure how well it'll work, and it's still a bit buggy. You can't double click on them yet, but I've been having see, there's Windfall not working because I still haven't got the. I've been updating the adventure deck.
Are these the new ones from SWADE?
They are the SWADE ones, yeah.
Okay.
They should.
Want to open my cartridge?
Yeah, no. So this is the problem. I've got as far as updating the graphics, but I haven't gone through yet and updated the text and everything. I literally only just got as far as doing the graphics.
Yeah,
and this is me working it out because if nothing else, I'll make it.
No, but they look cool anyway.
Yeah, so yeah, you can't double click on them yet because obviously I haven't got the module there. But I'm actually talking to. I'll take those away. I'm actually talking to Akil at the moment because I'm thinking that, to be honest, he might disagree and Smiteworks disagree, but to my mind, the adventure deck product should have both decks in it.
Huh.
So if you want to play Deluxe, you've got the Deluxe deck. If you want to play SWADE, you've got the SWADE deck, and you don't need to buy it twice.
Yeah.
But that's by the by. So let me see. Let's have a very strange situation where he's put some nice tokens in now. So make them visible. Idris is being chased by a couple of orcs. And what we can do is we can cheat, and I'm going to cheat slightly. So if I go open up I'll get it right. Right mouse button, browse deck. I want the main deck, not the combat deck. The combat deck is the deck that comes out of the combat tracker.
Mm-hmm.
So what I'm going to say is, it's going to be a quite short chase because I've made the grid too big. But if we say,
where did it go?
I've had this before. I know I've done this before. Hang on, you may have broken it. Right, where did it go? What happened there?
Try another one.
Don't know where the first one went. So maybe it's because I put it right. So yeah. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to click that up, and we're going to say, okay, the first card. It looks like you have to drop them on there, and then I don't know what's going on. Okay, I've had this. Where is it putting them? Do you know, I didn't have this problem before.
I think they're going to the desktop or so.
You think they're going where? Sorry.
Oh, I don't know.
Let's turn the grid off for a second. I've had this before. Where are they going? Okay, well, it's broken. I might have to go back to it again. Reshuffle deck. Right. So what supposedly? Oh look, this. Yeah. What's? Oh, hang on. Okay, we'll have a workaround. I'm not saying it's the best way to do it, but let's have a think about. That's what I did before. I literally dragged the cards out of that. I clicked on reshuffle. I clicked on there and I got a card, and then I literally dropped it on the map. But that's not seemed to work today, and I don't know why. But I do believe we can cheat. So if I put I'm not saying it's the best way to do it, but it's a workaround for now, and I'll have a word with
no problem.
later and find out what I'm doing wrong, because I know I did it before. So I'm going to put the Joker there. Obviously, I'm using tokens now, and then obviously let's just deal some cards out. So I say it's not the best way to do this, but you get the idea. So then we'll put the King of Diamonds there. If I make this bigger, because it's much easier when you just deal the cards out. 6 of Hearts there for argument's sake. 3 of Clubs. So that's an obstacle, isn't it? That's an obstacle. Oh, the obstacle's decided on here, isn't it? These cards are just the profiles. 4 of Diamonds. Queen of Clubs. 9 of Diamonds. And it really doesn't matter what I put on. So I'm just gonna, you know what I mean? I'm just gonna pick random cards. But I'm just trying to recreate the idea of what I probably would have done in real life rather than.
But yeah. I've done myself what you have trying to do. So
yeah.
I don't know why it's not working now.
Yeah, I don't know. So there we go. So what we're going to say is, this is pretty much the same setup I used for the Hellfrost players. We were just testing Hellfrost. Mm-hmm. So the idea is there's an awful lot of orcs because every couple of rounds I used to add some more on because they were shooting them and everything else. And so these are like 2 orc scouts, and there's a couple of hundred orcs behind you. And if you're running through a forest. So there's trees, there's vines, there's all sorts of terrain and everything you can use to your advantage. And you know that when you reach the Joker, that's a rope bridge across a deep ravine. So if you can get to the Joker and cut the ropes, the bridge will fall down and the orcs are stuck on the other side of the ravine.
Okay.
So then I'm going to probably get my SWADE book up to remind me of myself here, because it's a while. Chase and vehicles.
I have it open as well.
So that just for the maneuvers and everything else. So the first thing. So therefore, we'll now I'll share that with you, obviously as the player. There you go.
Yeah. And
obviously you could put a nice theme on. So if they're running through a market, you can put a market on there and everything. You know what I mean. So it doesn't have to be a completely blank wallpaper. And then obviously we'll go for the first thing, and obviously you could spend bennies if you wanted to improve your 5 of Hearts, but we're not going to worry about. In fact, let's give you a stupid amount of bennies. So for argument's sake, you don't want that orc to go first. You want to try and beat him. So although I think you can still drop a benny on your card if I share the tracker, which I think I haven't yet, have I? Or have you got it? Or is it set to not be?
Yeah, I can see the tracker now.
You can control it. So I think if you drop a benny on the 5 of Hearts, it hopefully will give you the ability to draw another. There we go. Yeah. So now you're into the interesting quandary, aren't you? So actually, let's make it a little more interesting. Let's give the orc. Let's pretend the orc got the 9 of Diamonds rather than the Ace of Hearts. Mm-hmm. So now you've got this interesting quandary. You can either double click on the 5 of Hearts and the orc will go first, or you can double click like it currently has, because it automatically picks the higher card, the Jack of Clubs, but that means you've hit a complication. Mm-hmm. So it's up to you which way you want to go there.
Yeah, let's have a complication.
Okay, so obviously this is this will be a pure athletics. This is a foot race, so it's all going to be down to athletics checks. I'm not sure what his athletics is. D6, same as the orcs. Okay, so if the character or group's action card is a club, something's gone wrong. So basically, you're running along. The orcs are screaming, shouting, and firing arrows at you. Actually, it's modern world. They've probably got pistols, and you've got a pistol. I think if you haven't, you will have in about 30 seconds. In fact, why not? Let's make it a little more interesting. You've got an AK-47. There you go.
Typical against orcs.
Exactly. The orcs have got bows and arrows, and you've got an AK-47. Sounds fair to me. Okay, so basically, what happens here then is I'm going to say you know, hearing looking behind you, you see an orc firing an arrow at you. You basically duck down, run round a tree, and your foot goes down straight into a hole in the ground. You know, a knotted root. There's always those, isn't there? There's always someone always trips over a tree root. So basically speaking, yeah. So you've basically suddenly see up ahead that there's a tree root, and if you fail to avoid it, you will basically trip up. So from your perspective, it's there's in fact actually it's because you're on a club. When you've got the club, you've actually got a -2 on that. So actually, yeah, let's change that because that wouldn't work. I know, right. You basically run around behind a tree. The arrow funks into the tree, and what you suddenly see all ahead of you is like a lot of basically a large area of very deep, very sticky mud. It's going to be you're going to need to make an athletics check at -2 to clear the mud pool. That sounds better, doesn't it?
Yeah. Okay, should I do it? Let's see if I fall or
Let's
not.
go. Let's see what happens. Yep. Oh, do you want to spend a penny on that?
Yeah, of course I want. Okay, let's wait. I'm going to add again the.
That's okay. Now you. That's it. Yep. Oh.
Even worse now. I cannot do it. I fall on my head.
So, if a character, okay, if the character, you must make a maneuvering roll as a free action to deal with the complication. The suit, okay. So what happens? What happens? I forgot what happens when you fail. Also use complications to so. It's interesting, actually. I'm looking at the notes. It doesn't actually mention what happens when you fail. The character drive make it suit the character card. I'm using. Oh, I'm not using 5.1. I'm on 5.
No, yeah. I'm reading too.
It tells you what happens and it tells you the complication, but it doesn't actually tell you what the result. I think it's as simple as something like you fall prone or anything like that, isn't it?
Wait a minute.
What's that's interesting. Go have a look at an older version.
Yeah, I'm reading as well, but I cannot see
Yeah.
anything. Yeah, what? Maybe it's up to the GM or so.
Maybe it's up to the GM, yeah. I was okay. Well, let's be logical. It's a foot chase, isn't it? So what's actually? Because if you thought, yeah. So basically speaking, it's because the chase is not is abstract, isn't it? What's actually happened is you fail to, so you vault into the air.
Yeah.
Here we go. Yeah, you vault into the air and you land with a splat right in the middle of the mud, and you slowly sink up to your knees. So now you have to basically maneuver. So what we'll say from that perspective is, because the orcs will drop you back a square because you got slowed down by the mud. I think that seems fair.
Yeah. What?
Okay, so now you are on foot, so you're using athletics. Now that was your free action to avoid the mud. Now we're actually into the chase round. So orcs and you are at the same speed, so that's okay.
Yeah. Look, what I can see on the chart, if you have a
Yes.
collapse, you can read that the failure result is treated as a critical failure on a maneuvering roll. So that's what.
Oh, there it is. Yeah.
So that is what you say. I fall on my
Yeah,
knees.
of course. Yeah. Cool, it's right on the chart, right in front of me, and I couldn't even see it. There we go. So treat it as a critical failure on. Oh, right. So that's even better then. So we won't move you back. Thank you. I'm going to award you a penny for spotting that.
Thank you.
Oh dear, you can tell I haven't done much with the chases yet, and that's the other reason too. That's why I like practicing it.
Yeah.
maneuvers. A critical failure, board action, critical. I think it's still complication, tax, wrecked, repairs. You're on a foot chase, so I mean, logically speaking, you're going to fall over, aren't you? Or going to mounted vehicles falling. Okay, if he loses roll a die, even if he loses the rest of the turn, he stumbles, negotiates, and takes a wrong turn. Odd. Here we go. Critical failure. You roll a dice. So roll a dice. I found it. It's at the start under maneuvering skills.
Yeah,
So
but we're in the chase or in the general maneuver?
under chases of vehicles. If you're using the same version of the PDF as I've got, page 113. You roll a die. On an even, you lose the rest of your turn as you stumble or you negotiate the obstacle. So in other words, you'll basically be wading your way out of the mud.
Yeah,
So
I
if
read
you
it.
if you roll odd, you suffer a point of fatigue. There we go.
Okay, let's drop dice.
So even. So basically, your whole turn is just getting out of the mud.
Yeah.
That's how it goes. Okay, so then the orc gets to go. Now he can, let's have a look. He can board no. He can change position. A character or driver may change his position by making maneuvering roll as a free action. Select success allows him to move up or down the chase card and up to 2 with a raise. Okay, so he's just going to make an athletics roll. He's going to basically sprint as fast as he can to try and catch you up. With a success, so he gets 1 square closer to you. And that's a free action, which means he can perform another action. If it could also change position as an action by right. So yeah, okay. So actually, I did say he was just going to put pedal to the metal and just run as hard as he could. So he should have actually had a +2 modifier on that because all he's doing is running as fast as he can, trying to get the raise, but he doesn't get it. So then we move down to the next orc who's here, and I will have him. I'll do it properly for him. He really will basically run as fast as he can to try and catch you up.
Oh.
Which means he gets to go 2 squares. Now the other trick we learned, and especially if there was more players. So if I just pop another player onto the. Actually, if you want to pick a second character.
Yeah. Okay.
Could that make life easier for me? There we go. Wonderful. So if I drag okay, so if I drag her on there, that didn't happen. If I drag her to the combat tracker, and from the combat tracker I drag her, to argument's sake, to there. Now, the trick we learned was if it starts getting a bit interesting, you're better off not locking tokens on the chase. The reason I say that is, I know this orc's right behind you here, so it doesn't make much difference. But if it was Annabelle's turn right now and she wanted to attack this orc here, because of the way the range things work and everything, so having the orc, for argument's sake, there, it's it shows it's 2 inches, and to there it's 2 inches, but it can make a bit of a difference depending on, you know what I mean, where they are, position wise. So what I found was, you possibly be moving people up and down the columns, but that sometimes just to get the ranges right. So anyway, orc number 2 runs as fast as you can. Well, we've given you Annabelle, so you might as well do something with Annabelle. she's looking at John as he's wading through the mud.
Okay, to add a little bit of drama, she's going to help Idris.
Okay. Okay, that's fine. So okay, we'll call that one that's support, isn't it? So our flee, force, hold steady, ram. I would say from that, then I don't actually see an official holding steady. You hold steady, no ram. So looking at the actual rules, there is nothing actually there. You can change position, you can evade, you can flee, you can force, you can hold steady or ram. I would say what you can do there is you can still make your free running action, and you can still then make your support roll, which will give the bonus to John on his next turn. That's how I'd roll that one. So make your athletics roll to if you get a raise, you get to move 2 squares. If you fail, you don't get to move at all. But she can have some bennies as well.
Not bad.
Okay.
No, she doesn't want.
Nope. And then from a support perspective, you can pick any skill you like on your character sheet. I'm not sure what she's got to add support. So
okay, I think persuasion. Come on, get up.
sounds good to me.
Okay,
So
let's
just
go.
make a persuasion roll. Yep. Okay, that's a single success. Now I believe you get +1 for each success, don't you? Up to a maximum of 4 now.
Yeah.
Yep. So basically, you give John some support, and off you go. So then we will deal in the new cards. Now John. Okay, so now John's at the very back at the 6 of clubs with an orc breathing down his neck. So from a certain perspective, he probably wants to spend a penny on that.
Yeah. Wait, I go to the. My God.
You can spend another penny if you want to.
Yeah, today is not day for poker, eh?
Indeed.
Oh, come on. No. Okay. Okay. No, let's give it another try, and that's all.
There we go. So I suspect. Right. So what you do there is you double click on the 9 of hearts to pick it. And that's sort of. So this is where the chase tracker's gone. It's built into the combat tracker now. It's not like it used to be where it's separate.
Yeah.
Okay. So that was a ridiculous amount of clubs, wasn't it? Okay.
Yeah.
Orc number 2 is right behind you. So orc number 2, as basically John's pulling his way out of the mud. The orcs basically obviously know the area better, and he knows the because he didn't get the complication. He knows where the hard ground is amongst all the mud, so he can get up to you. A melee attack, hand if they're on the same chase card. So what he's going to do is basically he's got a scimitar. He's desperately he's basically drawing the scimitar, and he fails to catch you. Oh, we can't have that. There we go.
Oh no!
So now he catches you up, and as he comes running up, as John's trying to pulling his legs out the ground, he just swings with the scimitar at John, which does hit. But John's obviously tough.
Yeah, in the last moment he's late.
Yeah, I'm just having a look. Just having a look what he's got. He's got an AK-47, a telescopic baton, and he's unarmed. Toughness 8. That seems very hard. Oh, he's a brawler. That's why.
Yeah.
As you say. I mean, logically, there is no logical way you sort of shake off a sword blow, as it were. So John turns it just right. So basically, at the last second, he basically dodges the blow. I think is the easiest way to describe that. So this orc here, he is basically going to go. All he's going to do this round is he's going to run as hard as he can, and all that gets him is 1 square closer because he didn't get the raise. That brings us down to John. So you've got a +1 on your athletics roll if you want to leg it. I mean, logically speaking, there's an orc trying to stab you with 3 to 4 feet of steel, so you really want to get out of here.
Yeah.
So Annabelle's being quite persuasive, telling you to get a move on. So you've got a +1 on your athletics roll if you want to.
Okay. Do you think if I flee, do you think the orc will have a free attack on me?
I don't think so in a chase because it's sort of everyone's moving all the time, aren't they?
Okay, that's good.
I mean, let's be honest. I mean, you think about it in terms of the chase. You know, it's a foot chase. The guy just tried to swing at you. You've ducked out the way, and the first thing you do is you'd run. You wouldn't just duck and keep running in a straight line, would you? You'd duck and veer away from him, and while
Yeah,
he's regaining his balance, as it were.
yeah. I roll over the mat, so okay.
Yeah. That's how we do it.
Okay, let's see athletics. Okay, no, well.
Okay, now that's success with a raise, so you can move yourself 2 squares. And I haven't looked them. You can physically, but yeah, exactly. And the point being is because chases are abstract, of course, that doesn't necessarily mean you've left Victoria behind with the orc, because of course that orc was chasing you at the time, if that makes sense. So it gets a little interesting. Right now, you can. Now that's the other thing. The other thing, this is quite nice. If you go back to looking at my screen for a second.
Yeah, I am.
Obviously, what I forgot to do, and it does cause some issues. It does cause some funniness with melee attacks. But if I don't know if you can see that too well, I've changed the range increments to 5 inches.
Yes.
So each square is now 5 inches, because that's the ranging for
All right. Yeah,
a
walking
foot
chase.
chase.
Yeah.
Yeah. So obviously, if you were doing this with starships, each inch, so that's the other thing I forgot to do.
Mm-hmm.
So if you do that now, you see, you're now, yeah, as you can see there, you're now. So that's what I remember. See, if at the moment the orc's 12 inches away, and now I'm moving down there, he's only 10 inches away because of that diagonal thing. So this is what I'm meaning about sometimes you just have to rearrange them. So from your perspective, you can, if you want to, lean behind, sort of turn round and fire off your AK-47 at that orc if you want to.
Yeah, why not? Try this.
So so it's just that he's only 10 inches away, so it's still short range. What I couldn't work out, and I think my gut feeling was, in a chase, you're spending most of your time running or driving or concentrating on moving, but I couldn't find anything that says whether or not you can basically repeat actions, if that makes sense, like you can in normal combat.
Question.
You know what I mean? Because in the new rules with multi-action penalties, you can. I don't think there's anything to stop you doing it. So I think there is nothing to stop you, for argument's sake, firing twice or even 3 times while running, because you just get the multi-action penalties.
Yeah,
Don't you?
yeah. I have the penalty. I'm reading on the maneuvers that you get it. You are using
Yeah,
multi-action, you get the
yeah.
penalty. Yeah. Okay, there's an minus 2.
But you don't get the running penalty in a chase. That's the important thing, isn't it?
Okay, let's try the AK.
Go for it. I think you hit the orc.
Yeah. Okay, let's see. Come on.
Oh, there you go. One dead orc.
it
Which
was
is fine.
it was a trick dropping me on the bat.
Exactly. And then we moved down to Annabelle, who basically is reassured to see John just pull in cartoon fashion, because obviously there's nothing realistic about being chased by orcs through a forest. Draws a machine, draws a machine gun, an assault rifle, I should say, and open fire. So then Annabelle, you just need to make your athletics check.
Yeah, she's going to take off her high heels and then.
Okay. If she just wants to just run flat out, as it were, and not do any other actions, she gets a +2 bonus on her athletics check, which is fine. So that gets
Come on.
that moves her 2 squares.
Yeah, let's go, John. Let's get out of here.
Exactly, and that brings us on to the next round. And what a John! Oh no, it's a spade this time. So
Yeah.
Annabelle gets to go first.
Okay, she runs again.
Go for it. She does have a. They both. You both. I don't care if they're not on your character sheet. They both got knives to cut the road bridge.
Yeah. Now we don't support each other.
So Annabelle's obviously. Well, Annabelle only didn't get the raise there, so unless you
Yeah.
want to spend a penny to try that
No,
again with the +2,
no.
she just moved 1 square. Okay.
One by one.
Then Then John. He can basically he can either make a +2 bonus and run flat out, or of course he can make a standard athletics check and then
Yeah, athletics. That's right away.
yeah. So that gets him 1 square. So he just runs flat out. The orc's feeling a little more. Actually, no, the orc's going to do the same. He's just going to run flat out. I need to bring in the Hellfrost orcs. Hang on, they don't have athletics. They don't have athletics, but it doesn't matter. So I'll bring up the orc too. So then what we'll do is just to make things fun. What then happens is in the distance,
2 more appear. His friends.
2 more appear. Indeed, because the idea is obviously it's all the idea is they'll keep coming in every so often, because I know my players, they just stand there and fight. They turn a chase into a fight. So what I found is you just keep adding some on every time to keep the impetus up, if that to make them have to run, as it were, and then they're a little less inclined to be gun ho about it. I'm just trying to find bows. I'm going to give these orcs bows. I do love the way you can just drop weapons onto the combat tracker now. It's very nice. The rule set's getting better. So that brings us to the 4th round of the chase, and orc number 3 is way back here. So from a total metagaming perspective, you probably don't need to worry too much about heading after orc number 3. And Annabelle's okay. So Annabelle, let's give her something, shall we? She got equipment wise. She's unarmed. We can't have that. She reaches. I think Annabelle's going to have a reach around in her purse and see what she can find. What can we give her? I'm just finding. I want to give her something stupid, but we're not. Yeah, why not? Yeah, there you are. Annabelle reaches into her purse and pulls out a laser pistol. Oh, have I lost you? I thought I lost you for a second there. It went very quiet. Can you hear me? Or have I gone?
Yes, I can hear you.
Oh, sorry. You went very quiet. I got very paranoid there. Okay, so Annabelle's reaches the purse and realizes she's carrying a laser pistol, and it's her go.
Okay. So do you want me to shoot or to?
No. I just gave you one in case you wanted to. If you want to run flat out, just run flat out. I just thought, I like giving players options.
Yeah, no, I want to show the orcs they are coming to me with bows, but look what I have.
Exactly.
Okay.
So you might as well run. Well, it's your choice. You can shoot then run, or run then shoot. Obviously, there's
Let's stop, shoot, and then run.
Yeah, I would too from a distance perspective. So yeah, hang on. See, that isn't actually this is a perfect example, because if you look at, that's the perfect example there. So I should have checked who you were targeting first. That's my mistake. Because I believe 15 inches is short range. 15 inches is short range for a laser pistol, but because of where because it was registering it as medium range, it took it as a miss, which it isn't. So it's actually a hit. So I don't know if you know this. You can manually adjust the numbers on the combat tracker.
Me
So-
myself as a player? Oh no, you.
No, as the GM, I'm saying. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So obviously, I just changed that. I holding down control. I can roll the attack up to a 5, which makes it a hit, and then you can roll for damage. Players can't change the numbers. Can you imagine the chaos?
Yeah. I think so.
Okay, well that orc's gonna get shot, but I don't fancy letting that orc get shot, so I'm gonna see if that orc can. Yeah, it's a good shot, but the orc's eyes open up in horror as it sees the laser bolt blasting towards it, and it ducks behind a tree.
In the last moment.
Indeed, and why not? And the tree is now on fire.
Cool.
Especially as it's a club there, so that's the obstacle.
Yeah.
What I don't know if he's going to put it in, but in a face-to-face game, I'm quite inclined to lay these cards face down.
Yeah.
You can't do it in fancy grounds, but if I was doing a face-to-face game, I'd put the cards face down so you don't know what the penalties are on them until you land on them, if that makes sense. But we can't do that. Yeah. Anyway, so it's her athletics roll. What I might do is cheat a bit and do that.
Yeah. Okay,
So
let's do the athletics without the
without the bonus, because her action was to set a tree on fire.
Anyway, she runs.
Yeah, she does. Right, this guy is going. So this guy is going to make this orc's not even going to get any closer, and then he fires his bow at long range and misses entirely. Okay, that brings us down to John.
Hey, John.
I'll move the orc up there in case you want to shoot him.
No, he's going to run. Let's get out of
here. Yeah.
Then we have the bonus. Anyway, come on.
Yep.
Let's go with another Benny.
Yeah, go for it. You got plenty.
Okay, now what? Good. It's a race. I didn't see it.
Yes, that was a race. You got a 10 that time. So it gives you the 2 squares, which is fine. This orc's just going to run flat out. He's got a bow, but he realizes you're getting away, so he's going to try and catch you and move 1 whole square. It's amazing. This one doesn't have a ranged weapon, so all he can do is run as hard as he can. And he gets to there, past the burning tree. Okay. So we are looking at an orc with a complication. You're okay. Another orc with a complication. It's whether or not Annabelle wants to spend a penny to see if she can get something better than the 4 of spades is up to her. What's left in the deck?
So let's do it.
There's quite a few cards left.
Well, let's open the trigger.
Yeah. There we go. Jack of spades, perfectly acceptable. So this orc has a complication and he's on a diamond. So if he fails, he's bumped. Bumped is when they move back a square, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
So he fails. He moves back a square. Oh wait. This is what happened before he ended up. That was the only advantage. That's the only advantage with not having a drawing, because if you can literally extend them if it's blank, so I can literally make this build, drawing bigger to the left, as it were. so he can drop back, but you can't with a drawing. But it's all relative anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, John.
Come on, John, run for your life.
Oh yeah, he's done it.
Done it.
So he gets to the rope bridge and starts tentatively soaring into
Come on, Victoria, that is the chopper.
Okay. This orc here is going to do his best to catch Victoria. He won't catch her, but he might close. Oh no, he's not going to move. I'm going to use another one of Benny's. He gets one whole square closer. Wow. And then that brings us to Victoria.
Victoria's feeling the orc behind her, so
he's a way off, but yep. Oh, look at.
yeah, okay, a little bit more of drama there.
Yeah.
Then the helicopter is lifting out.
Oh yeah, that would have been better. The helicopter just get to the chopper. Okay, so this orc's going to make an athletics roll to get a bit closer and fail miserably, and then completely fail to hit Victoria with an arrow. And I mean, you get the idea. That's pretty much
Yeah.
how I would. Yeah.
Yeah.
What I haven't tried, if we, the only one I haven't tried yet, I suppose the way to do it would be, say for argument's sake, I think it's going to get. The ranges and everything will get messy with this one, which is I haven't really worked out how you do dogfights or something. But do you know what I mean? I'm not sure how you could do the. You know how they're sort of saying how you can you arrange it in a grid or something.
Yeah, but
because things get messy when you start trying to put tokens on top of tokens.
I think so. And with many players, everybody speaking and moving, I think it can be really messy.
Yeah. So as I say, this isn't the final. This isn't the final solution. This is work around for now, if that makes sense.
Yes.
But that's pretty much it. As I say, that's pretty much how I ran my. That's how I ran the chase.
Yes.
I saw.
I saw the screenshot you shared with your health frost, and I thought that it was a good way to do it.
Yeah, that's about the only way we came up with it. The fact that you can put the token cards at least now on the map. Means you can sort of do something along the lines. But I know Aki's planning to do something about it, and obviously that's why he's been playing with us on a Tuesday night, because he spends so much time just designing the stuff. A lot of it's what I find is quite interesting. A lot of the stuff he did in the past was all very much about stuff to make the GM's life easier.
Yes, I know.
And what I've noticed is, and this is why he wanted to do it as well, since he's been playing with us, an awful lot of the things he's been doing is player centric now. So because he's finally actually playing Fantasy Grounds as opposed to just designing it or running it, he's actually seeing what it's like to be a player and realizing all the other things he can plug in. So we'll get there. But
you can see the things from the other point of view.
Yeah, so I hope that helps.
Yes, it did.
You are most welcome. If I don't manage, depending on what the players do on Saturday, we'll decide if there's a chase or not. And if you're available to play on Saturday, you're most welcome to.
Yeah,
join
I think I will. So please let me know, and why not? I can join again.
So if I send you, if all you need to basically, if you go there, the plan is the plan is I've cleared it with the missus. at least once a month, I'm going to run a one-off game. The setting will be whatever I fancy playing that month, or whatever I've got an adventure to run that month, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So as I say, there is no limit on the number of players. There isn't technically a limit on the number of players that show up. As I say, I did run a game once with 15 players. I wouldn't say it was necessarily one of the fastest moving games I've played, but everyone seemed to have fun, if that makes sense.
Really?
Obviously, yeah. But some games will work better than others. I did have about 30 pre-generated characters by that point, so that wasn't a problem. So if you want to add yourself to, if you just want to, so what I'm trying to say is you're not expected to have to play every one, because I don't necessarily know when the games are going to be, if that makes sense. So the way I do it is you just sign up saying you're interested, and then obviously I'm not sure how it works with the calendars if you get updates or anything, but then basically I'll put up a date, and if you're available to play that date, you say yes. If you're not
Okay.
available to play that date, you don't say yes, and then I know how many players I've got for that date, if that makes sense.
Okay, yeah, it does.
So yeah, it's going to be it's going to be well, I'm going to be using the East Texas University rules.
Oh, that's
Rules.
cool. I really want to
Uh,
try that one.
it won't be, but it won't really be. I'm using the East Texas rules, but it won't really be an East Texas. Well, I mean, you don't get all the aspects of it because being a one shot, it doesn't really matter about the academics and taking
Yeah,
exams
yeah,
and everything.
of course, yeah.
But also, it's I think it's the first adventure 12 to Midnight who originally sort of started all this East Texas stuff. Wrote and I've never managed it, but apparently it's got a bit of notoriety for being a total party killer adventure. So should